And good afternoon, everyone, or I guess good morning if you're on the West Coast. My name is Zach Allison with ATS. I'm our National Accounts Manager, working with engineers, architects, interior designers, and even some design build contractors all across Canada and even parts of the US these days. ATS, if this is your first ATS University, thank you for joining us. Thank you for jumping into a hopefully knowledgeable and great detailed training session from one of our great partners. ATS is essentially a product selection and configuration tool, but we also focus on making sure you understand the product that you are selecting. So we've been doing these ATS University sessions to help engineers and architects get all the credits that they need, whether this is for your AIA, your ASPE accreditation, or even if you're just doing general PEOs. We do a lot of non-certified, but you can still get your credit of attendance for anything like your CPD hours. So if you're working towards that, then certainly stick with us. We have a pretty much every other week cadence, 2 or 3 a month of these university sessions that we do, where we'll do a deep diving either into an application, into a category, like today, talking about drinking fountains and bottle fillers, or into a specific product. We've done a great session recently on leak defense, and then we always show you how you can find the products that we're talking about on the SpecTool. Again, if this is your first time, SpecTool is a free product selection configuration system. I'll show you just how easy it is that you can find, probably in a couple of minutes, select, configure, build, a product that we're talking about today, and then you can download it in any one of the, I think, 9-10 different output formats. Whichever way your firm writes a spec or issues a product instruction, I guarantee we've got a format that would fit it. So we'll kind of walk into that later on. But with me today is Rob McLeod from the Dobbin Sales team. Dobbin Sales is a distributor across Canada, one of our longtime partners at ATS. They've got a number of different brands that are sponsors and available on the ATS SpecTool, and they also have their own Dobbin's white label SpecTool, where you can see all of their product, all of their brands. So all of that's available. I'm sure we'll jump into that later on, but today we're doing accredited CU, so it won't necessarily be a particular brand, but Rob is the brand manager, or the product category manager for the drinking fountain and bottle filler market across Canada. So we'll cover that category in detail today. Thanks for joining us, Rob.
Perfect. Thank you, Zach. Thanks for the introduction. Again, Rob McLeod with Dobbin Sales. Today we are going to be going through the presentation, accredited CU presentation, the role of bottle fillers and water coolers in healthy hydration and sustainability. So just a little bit of housekeeping notes here. This is a presentation that Sloan has put together and is sponsored by Sloan. It is registered with the AIA to count towards the continuing education system credits. We're going to do our best in this presentation, while being sponsored from Sloan. It's not going to necessarily be a Sloan presentation. We're going to be talking more about the category in general. If there are specific questions to any actual product questions related to Sloan as it stands, we can cover those off at the end, but really this presentation is going to be on the bottle filling category in general and some of the things to keep in mind when you're specifying this product. So the course description. So water coolers and drinking fountains, depending on where you are, ubiquitous in commercial and institution facilities. Bottle fillers are a newer product on the market and can replace or be combined with a water cooler to provide and offer more hygienic and sustainable hydration experience. The course will discuss the role of the commercial bottle filler in healthy hydration, sustainability, as well as important design features, ADA standards, and code considerations you need to be aware of while specifying these systems. So the learning objectives for today's course, after we're done going through this course, you should be able to be comfortable examining the role of the commercial bottle fillers and water coolers in healthy hydration and sustainability. We'll explore how bottle fillers and water coolers work as an innovative design features make them easier to upgrade and operate and maintain. We'll understand American with Disabilities Act standards for bottle fillers and water coolers in commercial buildings. And we'll review all the codes and safety standards that you should be aware of when specifying these bottle fillers and pouring. So the first learning objective, we're going to be examining the role of the bottle filler and water cooler in healthy hydration and sustainability. So water coolers, as I said, water coolers and drinking fountains or bubblers, depending on your region, are ubiquitous in commercial and institutional facilities. Bottle fillers are a newer product on the market and can replace or be combined with a water cooler to offer more hygienic, sustainable, and safer hydration experiences. Their popularity has grown, and many facilities are installing new or replacement water coolers post-pandemic. We've seen this category of product really boom over the last 5-10 years. You guys see it everywhere. The bottle fillers are going everywhere now. In turn, so sensor-operated bottle fillers gain popularity because they can be operated hands-free and provide easy access to water for those who have refillable water bottle or cup. Americans are drinking more water than ever before, trading in soda, juice, and other beverages for bottled or tap water. So it's great to have a healthy hydration on hand in commercial buildings. According to the CDC National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, the difference in reported consumption of bottled water has been on the rise significantly over the last 20 years. From 2005 to 2006, it grew over 56%. And again, that continues to kind of double over and over and over. Among children, especially, bottled water consumption has rapidly risen. A little history on bottle filling. You'd be surprised to learn that the water bottle fill station concept really dates back to 1922 when Filtrine manufactured water filters, hailed it as a profitable solution for drinking water problem in office management. They would sell jugged bottled water, was quite popular because the municipal supply was often, could be poor at times, with waterborne illnesses kind of being quite common. So while those bottles were kind of bulky and hard to manage and expensive, they kind of came up with a solution where they would use a plumbed system from the filtered city water supply, run it through a basin with an ice thing to kind of chill it down. So this kind of combination of a bottle filling station, while very kind of elementary by today's standard, this concept has been around for quite some time, and it's really risen and gained in popularity, as I said, over the last 10, 15 years. But kind of going back to 1922, when that kind of first concept was invented. Drinking water is one of the healthiest habits you can build, as long as the water is safe to drink. The nation's public drinking water systems are regulated by the EPA, which sets water testing schedules and legal limits on over 90 contaminants in drinking water. Delegated states and tribes provide drinking water to 90% of the Americans through the public water supply. The Safe Drinking Water Act allows individual states to enforce their own drinking water standards if the standards are at a minimum at the stringiest of the EPA's national standards. Because the EPA standards provide room for the states to regulate certain contaminants more strictly, they can regulate local chemical concerns like agricultural contaminants or discharge from industrial waste operations. That said, municipal water utilities sometimes violate those existing standards, leaving many cities across the nation plagued by subpar water supply that may contain chemical or microbial contaminants such as lead, arsenic, E. coli. Filtered water bottle filling stations and water coolers can help bridge this gap, supplying safer water to the public. Obviously, a lot of these being as an American presentation, there will be a lot of reference to EPA and ADA. We have very similar codes and standards up here in Canada. Typically, you'll see that coming from Health Canada, putting forth guidelines to regulate these contaminants. The provincial building codes will then adopt those guidelines themselves. And the same can be said about some barrier-free compliance things. There'll be the national building code. There will be, each province may have their own, like AODA within OBC or BCBC or QBC. Each province has their own kind of based on these national guidelines.
And just on that point, because I know it's come up for me a couple of times lately, Rob, where you'll be asked about barrier-free code and you'll reach out to our spec team, whether it's Armand or Ian on our Revit team, where we'll do mock-ups for you to confirm whether or not any of these drinking fountain bottle filler products comply with, whether it's BC building code or
Yep.
Alberta, we'll run the mock-ups and get it back for you for that, right?
Yeah, 100%. We'll see like the recommendations within where these are all designed within ADA are so similar to what our local building codes are, but there's maybe some nuanced differences of a rough-in height needs to be a couple millimeters higher or lower to comply with that province's guideline of rim height or spout height or knee clearance. So there's definitely ATS is a great resource for us and for you guys if we ever have to know with where your specific project is located, that we can make sure you have a fully compliant product. Bottle fillers and water coolers can be specified in numerous commercial applications, including schools, office buildings, healthcare facilities. Well, both can be specified in high traffic commercial applications such as airports, convention centers, stadiums, and arenas. Bottle fillers are ideal because they dispense a large quantity of water quickly, which is a very important factor when you are like in these high traffic areas. Like I often think bottle filling is probably the most common installation basis in a school environment where we have, you may have like, hundreds of kids exit out between period 1 to go to period 2. Well, they all want to fill up their bottle at the same time before they go to their next class. So we want to provide a rapid fill of water very quickly to make sure that we are, servicing that large population who all wants water at the same time. A study by the Nutrition Journal found that adequate plain water intake in children was more in high-income households, but still 75% of school-age children in the U.S. lack adequate hydration and do not consume the recommended daily allowances for water, which is essential for human health. A nutrient is considered a substance that's providing nourishment for the body and is necessary for growth and maintenance. Nutrients can fall into 7 different groups, including carbohydrates, proteins, fat, fiber, mineral, vitamins, and water. Among the most important nutrients is water. It serves as a solvent, a mode of transport, and a substrate for major metabolic reactions. In school and offices, productivity may suffer without access to high-quality drinking water. If there's limited access to appealing, accessible drinking water solutions, such as bottle filling stations with chilled, filtered water, occupants may not hydrate during the day. For K-12 schools, this is particularly important. The perception of safe, accessible, and appealing drinking water can result in increasing hydration, which supports productivity and well-being. Bottle fillers and water coolers can really encourage the consumption of water, providing easy access to drinking water. They also provide hands-free operation, which prevents germ transmission, and point-of-use filtration to further enhances our health by reducing harmful contaminants and impurities that may be found in the water stream. Bottle fillers may be particularly beneficial in healthcare facilities and other settings where hygiene is of top priority. In water coolers, the bubbler, the push bar should all be made of antimicrobial materials that reduce the risk of germs transmission. Despite being high-touch surfaces, they have a design that helps sanitize and make cleaning simple and easy, helping to prevent the transmission of germs on those high touch points. The well-being standard. The International Well-Being Institute has taken up the mantle of wellness in the building environment and oversees the world's premier framework for advancing in health in buildings and spaces of all kinds. Well-being standard is similar to LEED, but well focuses on the building occupant versus the environmental impact and sustainability of the building itself. So the designers have the ability to measure how their buildings improve health and well-being. WELL certification sets the standard for air management, nourishment, light, among other concepts, and they're aimed to improve occupant health and wellness. WELL is based on 10 concepts, and each concept consists of several features that are either performance-based or prescriptive. Under the water concept, WELL Building Standards concept seeks to promote safe and clean water through the implementation of proper filtration techniques and regular testing in order to ensure that the building occupants receive optimal quality of water for various uses. The drinking water promotion feature promotes the consumption of water by making high-quality drinking water easily accessible to the occupants. WELL notes access to clear, good-tasting water helps promote hydration throughout the day. Many otherwise healthy people unknowingly suffer from mild dehydration, a condition where there is less water and fluids in the body than there should be, which often results in avoidable symptoms such as muscle cramps, dry skin, headaches. Drinking plenty of water, especially when exercising at high temperatures, is essential to ensure that good hydration, improving taste, appearance of tap water, encourages increased water consumption and reducing the reliance on bottled water. To meet the goals of this feature, we encourage water consumption. Specifiers must ensure that at least one dispenser is located within 30 meters of all parts of regularly occupied floor space within the building. Minimum one per floor. On-site performance testing must be conducted to ensure that the water is suitable for human consumption and has optimal drinking water taste properties. The water dispenser components must be cleaned regularly, and there should be at least one dispenser with free potable water for 30 students in outdoor activity spaces. So just essentially, we are trying to make sure that we are providing enough access to clean drinking water in our building to achieve that building standard. Installing bottle fillers is a practical way to promote sustainability, reduce waste, and preserve our planet for future generations. The public's desire to reduce plastic water bottle use, coupled with the increased desire by humans to drink water and technology improvements, have increased the replacement of traditional drinking fountains with bottle fillers. In the past 10 years or so, we've seen even some state plumbing codes have changed the minimum standards for drinking fountain infrastructure in schools to make sure that they have bottle filling as part of your minimum design requirements. Bottle fillers provide convenient and accessible way to refill reusable bottles with fresh water, and some models have counter displays to show the amount of ounces of water consumed by the user, which is a nice feature for them to track how much water they're drinking, and also how the bottle counter to show how much, how many 16-ounce bottles we've seen from landfill to help promote that sustainable message. Each year in America, they use over 50 billion water bottles a year, and that's a ton of plastic single-use waste ending up in our land. So again, by encouraging the use of reusable bottles, bottle fillers help minimize plastic waste, which is a significant environmental concern, adding to pollution and habitat destruction. This also conserves valuable natural resources such as oil and water that's used in the production and transportation of those plastic bottles. 86% of the disposable water bottles used in the US either becomes litter or garbage. It's adding 38 billion disposable water bottles to landfills. It's staggering numbers. I mean, you see it on the news, like an island the size of Texas floating of disposable plastics in the Pacific Ocean. They're just single-use plastics is a real plight on our world and environment, and it's something that's a very important category to tackle. They take hundreds to thousands of years to decompose. Even when they do, they don't really decompose properly. They turn into little microplastics, which then end up in our water streams and food sources and into our bodies thereafter. Bottle fillers help to save water as well because they also, put water directly into a vessel instead of having water spill down into the drain. So we help conserve our actual fresh water usage by having these as well. Bottle fillers will also often have an automatic shutoff feature. So after, say, 20 seconds of usage, the bottle filler itself will shut down flow. So you're not going to have excess runoff going down the drain unnecessarily. Environmental Product Declaration is an objective, transparent report that communicates how much product's composition impacts the environment across its entire life cycle. EPDs provide information on a product's carbon footprint, acidification, depletion of fossil fuel, and recycled content, as well as energy and chemical-free statements. An EPD is like a nutrition label for a building product. Instead of identifying the impacts of calories and daily recommended allowances, an EPD identifies the life cycle impacts like global warming, ozone depletion, water and airborne pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions. EPDs are meticulous third-party examinations that offer a holistic evidence of a product's drive towards sustainability. One manufacturer of bottle fillers and water coolers offers EPDs produced in accordance with the international standards and verified by an independent third party to ensure data is communicated and credible. This helps specifiers gain lead material and resources credits on their projects. To achieve LEED version 4 materials and resources credit, EPD for B, D, and C project team must specify 20 different products to have an EPD, each of which are sourced from at least 5 different manufacturers. For an EPD or ID plus C project, you must specify 10 different products sourced from at least 3 different manufacturers. Objective 2, we'll explore bottle fillers and water coolers, how they work, as well as the innovative design features to make them easy to operate and maintain. Several types of fixtures and innovative design features that you should know before specifying commercial bottle fillers and water coolers. Manufacturers offer models that are either standalone bottle filler, standalone water cooler, or a combination. A standalone on-wall bottle filler may be ideal for building types like a gym or an office where users are likely to have their own refillable water bottle. On-wall bottle fillers combined with a single level cooler are ideal for higher edge projects, while on-wall bottle fillers with a bi-level cooler are ideal for demands of high traffic environments like a convention center, stadium, and airports with a water dispensing rate 3 times faster than water coolers. The versatile design offers quick, accessible solutions that can accommodate simultaneous refills, enabling quick hydration on the go. Flexible mounting options allows for seamless integration into existing buildings with versatile bi-level design, allowing you to go left high or right high, depending on your design requirements. This versatile design ensures a perfect fit for most spaces, enhancing its usability and integration. The fixtures can be mounted on the wall, which is ideal for renovations and replacement units, or they can be recessed set back into the wall, which is typically something you're going to reserve for new construction projects. While on-wall units can offer a lot easier maintenance, in-wall units have a little bit of a cleaner look as everything's kind of recessed into the wall and takes a little bit less footprint in your hallway and on the wall space. In-wall bottle fillers are also available in single or bi-level, but as noted, they are set back into the wall to save space. Bottle fillers are very simple to operate. When it's sensor activated, you'll have like a little backlit LED that illuminates the bottle filling area and a white light to indicate your filter status. The laminar flow water reduces splashing and rapidly fills your bottle at a 1.2 gallon fill rate. There are 20-second, as I said earlier, there's a 20-second max runtime to conserve water. Should the user walk away prematurely to prevent kind of spilling off onto the floor, or in certain environments, if vandalism is a concern, if somebody was trying to cover the sensor to flood their school, the units have that built-in auto shut off at 20 seconds to make sure that somebody can't cause damage. Remote chillers are optional, and they can cool large quantities of room temperature drinking water to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If a chiller is desired, specify from a manufacturer who offers a refrigeration system with a chilling capacity of at least 8 gallons per hour so that it can kind of keep up to the demand of high use areas. While bottle fillers are trending and are sure to remain very popular for years to come, water coolers aren't going anywhere. They provide universal accessible access to water. Not only do they meet the ADA requirements when properly installed, but they also offer everyone a way to stay hydrated, even when you didn't bring your bottle with you. You don't have access to your refrigerator, your reusable container. Being able to actually have a drink by anybody is still a very important feature in design here. Water coolers can be operated with one hand on several different ways. Some models have a push bar on the front with technology designed to be activated at any touch point along that bar. That kind of really helps to enhance the usability for anybody. The push bar also provides access to the filter or the cartridge replacement right from the front of the unit. Other models have push bars with the front and side panels, and some even have access to operations with a foot pedal. So there's lots of different activation styles available, but water coolers are not going anywhere. They're still something we use all the time. We've all had that kind of bobblehead experience where you're kind of trying to get a drink out of a bubbler sometimes. Is the stream too high? Is it too low? It can be a little frustrating at times if it's inconsistent. That can be caused from whether maybe you have some scaling built up or a little bit of a clog affecting your water pressure. It's nice to have a fixture that's easily serviceable. So if you need to replace your cartridge or clean out a strainer or a filter quite easily, to make sure that the unit's properly operational.
Additionally, like the bubblers themselves, and I don't know if you're covering this in the next couple of slides, but they've really come a long way in the last 5, 10, 20 years. It's not you used to remember going around to some of these public bottle filler drinking fountain stations, and the bubbler would always be, kind of icky.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of advancements in coating technology to prevent bacterial
100%. Yeah.
microbial growth, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. They're all these bubblers now are made with antimicrobials kind of baked into them, so properties so that we can prevent that, bacteria growth and transmission on top of them. They'll all have kind of built-in flow regulators in them as well to help regulate that stream height properly. So lots of different advancements over the last, as you said, 5-10 years here on a simple bubbler, to make sure it's, better for the user. Excuse me. So bottle filling. So space-saving and easy access design bottle fillers feature sensor technology, a very slim profile, small footprint. Architecturally, this means they aren't protruding too far into the clear floor space, which is very helpful when the room is tight, especially in high traffic applications like the aforementioned high school hallway. Use filtration within these bottle filling stations and water coolers is very important. In past, we've often seen facility teams have kind of pushed back against bottle fillers and their filtration systems because the filters are so cumbersome and hard for them to change. Some just end up taking the filter out altogether and never replacing it, which kind of means the users are unwittingly consuming just tap water, untreated tap water, which we believe this is a mistake, particularly with water quality issues featuring frequently in the news. Facility managers must establish stringent maintenance and water quality management plans within their building to ensure that what the quality of water is being monitored and treated properly for the user. Ultimately, this protects the health and wellness within the building occupants, as well as the reputation of the facility if their water quality issues do not arise. We want to make sure that the building itself, the brand of that school board, that university, whatever it may be, is well regarded. So making sure that their users have clean drinking water is probably a pretty good idea. The filter status indicator provides alerts when the filter needs to be changed. Newer models have long-lasting 3,000-gallon filters that are either accessible from a swing open door cabinet or a drop-down filter door, like you can see in the image there, to provide access to the filter, which provides a much, much easier way to access the filter and the internal components for the facilities people. That means maintenance teams will be able to change the filter regularly if it's a lot easier to access.
I always thought you had to take like the entire thing off in order to.
Yeah, so that's kind of how the original design of many of the brands out there were. You would have to lie on your back and take out the 4 screws and take the entire skirt off to access the filter, which was jammed in very tightly within that cooler space. Some of the newer design models that you're seeing in the picture there have this quick access drop-down door to provide you could change your filter in under a minute, which is a very nice feature to have.
And then obviously 3,000 gallons, like it's always going to depend on usage, but that should be what, 6 months, maybe a year?
Yeah, 3,000 gallons will probably get you about a year. I mean, that's roughly 20,000 bottles filled out of the bottle filler. So the filters themselves will be certified to the NSF 4153 401 standards, but they part of that standard is a volume rating of the 3,000 gallons or 1 year. So 1 year is typically about the max that you'd ever want with what NSF recommends. You're going to be changing that filter annually at least. But again, in super high traffic areas, you may be changing that, as you said, every 6 months. Certainly could happen that way as well. But again, that high capacity lead removal filter to reduce, in high traffic areas, you're going to have to do a little more often. They should all make sure that they're certified in NSF and ANSI standard 42, 53, and 401 to ensure you're providing users with safer, cleaner, and better tasting water. IoT connectivity is something that's you're seeing this in a lot of different designs beyond just bottle filling now. But an added feature on some commercial bottle fillers is that you can connect onto your building management system. You can monitor these things remotely. you can check about when the filter needs to be changed remotely. You can see about water usage, all kinds of different things to kind of empower the facilities team to monitor these things remotely to see what's going on within the actual fixture itself without having to be in front of it. Be able to monitor your filter life cycle. Water consumption usage is quite important for building management sustainability efforts. And finishes. So you can a couple different options available in the market. Make sure you're going to specify the water cooler is crafted from durable premium materials, such as a classic stainless steel finish, or you can go for a more modern aesthetic with a black powder coated steel finish. When upgrading outdated infrastructure inside your buildings, you will want to replace old water fountains with new filtered, chilled water coolers and bottle fillers. To establish accessibility when planning spaces, facility managers should identify convenient locations for water dispensing that are visible from common circulation paths. It has to be convenient and accessible. Regular testing and posting of testing results can give users confidence in the system. Transparency is always the best option. When replacing the bottle filler or water cooler unit, specify a manufacturer that offers a model that match most other manufacturers' rough-ins as well. So make sure that it's easy to replace them and also limit the amount of wall patchwork you may have to do because you're using one that's had a similar footprint to what may have already been there. Now we'll kind of go over some of the American Disabilities Act standards from a barrier-free design standpoint. So inclusive design is for all is a very key consideration when specifying drinking fountains and bottle fillers. Bottle fillers with drinking fountains are built for everyone, and when installed properly, meet the ADA requirements. This ensures accessible and welcoming experience for all users. Accessibility is mandated by drinking fountains in commercial buildings to ensure that all users can hydrate as desired. So a building does not necessarily have to have drinking fountains, but where drinking fountains are provided, access is required for both people who are in wheelchairs and for those who are standing. Where one unit is planned in any of these locations, at least 2 units must be a combination high-low for dual access in each location. The dual access must be provided for each floor of the facility equipped with a drinking fountain, as well as the exterior site to ensure to each secured area of the building where drinking fountains are provided. The standard specifically addresses an access to drinking water fountains located within even secured buildings too. We want to make sure that we're accessing and providing people the ability, as I said, wheelchair access, and also maybe if you have a standing impediment, making sure that we have options for every user within the building. If a drinking fountain is provided, if a drinking fountain is provided, a bottle filler or nearby sink cannot substitute for either the wheelchair accessible or the standard height drinking fountain in the new construction additions or alterations. Bottle fillers can be provided at or integrated with compliant drinking fountains. No drinking fountains are required where none are planned, including where bottle fillers are provided. Bottle fillers are fixed or built in must meet requirements for operable parts. So the location has to be on an accessible route. We have to have clear floor space for either a forward or side approach. And if it's going to be hand operated, we need to make sure that the controls are within reach range and are usable with one hand without tight grasping, pinching, twisting of the wrist. And most importantly, you have to be able to access with less than 5 pounds of force. So really we're talking about if that's not a sensor operated unit, if that was a push button bottle filler, the push button would have to be operated by less than 5 pounds of force. Bottle fillers must comply where provided, including when integrated with drinking fountains, but they are not subject to the requirements for drinking fountains. If one bottle filler is provided at some drinking fountains or at one bowl of the high-low unit, it is advisable that it's located at the wheelchair accessible unit. So wheelchair accessible drinking fountains, provisions for wheelchair accessible units require access for a forward approach and addresses the spouts, water flow, and operable parts. Units can be wall-mounted or freestanding. I mentioned earlier, this is really to do with the American standards. within the ADA, but it is going to be very, very similar from our national building codes and provincial regulations. And again, Zach and his team with ATS, myself, can be a resource to make sure that you are, if you need to get the proper mock-up heights to be compliant within your own local codes, we'll be glad to help. So about, we're being conscious about the spout height from a vertical support, minimum 15 inches, and then 5 inches back from the user's front edge. Operable parts may be accessible within reach, and again, less than 5 pounds of force. Clear ground space for a forward or parallel approach, unobstructed, centered, basically 30 inches to 48 inches, 30 by 40, so it's kind of the right size for someone accessing within a wheelchair. Knee and toe space is something that's also a big part of this provisions within ADA for barrier-free compliance. We want to make sure that we are providing a fixture that is going to provide adequate knee clearance for someone as they approach in a wheelchair. So making sure that fixture then would comply within the local code. This is again there are some nuanced differences of where that 250 millimeter space is at which rim height for our local codes, but very, very similar to what you're going to be seeing on the screen here. We want to make sure that we have a combined knee and toe depth of at least 17 and 25 maximum, 17 inches and 25 maximum, measured from the leading edge of the unit, including the bumpers. This includes a space between the knees, and it must be clear of piping and any other obstructions. Water flows must be 4 inches at minimum high from the top of the spout from the front of the unit rather. Unobstructed reaches. The high forward reach buttons, handles, and sensors should be at 48 inches maximum and 15-inch minimum. For obstructed high reaches, there is a 48-inch maximum reach when the depth is 20 inches maximum at 44-inch maximum. So again, this is a lot of different measurements which are really specific to ADA, but I want to just hammer home, please reach out and we can get you the proper dimensions with whatever your provincial standard is. ADA requirements for protruding objects apply to drinking fountains. Drinking fountains with leading edges higher than 27 inches must be recessed into alcoves, otherwise treated so that they do not protrude more than 4 inches into circulation paths. Wheelchair accessible units provide but do not exceed 27 inches of minimum lead clearance do not require treatment into protruding objects because the leading edge is at a minimum limit for cane detectability. Sometimes you will see, especially on bi-level units, we may want to specify what's called a cane apron so that we can bring on a high-low unit, we can bring the cane detectable height of that high side down to a proper level. So there's an accessory that you can attach to the bottom called a cane apron to make sure that it is at the proper detection level for a cane on the high side. Additional clearance is required if the space is obstructed on both sides for more than half the depth, such as the alcoves where the drinking fountains and bottle fillers are sometimes located. Certain states, certain provinces have different interpretations of what is exactly required. Just please reach out. We will be glad to help you make sure we're compliant. Here, the last learning objective is to kind of review the codes and standards that you should be aware of when specifying bottle fillers and water coolers and the importance of point-of-use filtration. So beyond the barrier-free ADA standards and codes, there are codes and safety standards that you should be aware of when specifying bottle fillers and water coolers. All bottle fillers and coolers should be certified to comply with NSF 61, standard for safe water consumption. The health effects sets minimum health effects requirements for the chemical and contaminants and impurities imparted from products, components, and materials to drinking water systems. It does not establish performance, taste, odor, or microbial support requirements. NSF 61 focuses on evaluating contaminants or impurities that are imparted directly to the drinking water through a range of materials such as carbon coatings, linings, welding materials, pipes, valves, and fittings. So really, that NSF 61 is talking about the actual fixture itself and what it contains. The material chosen during the construction of the drinking water systems play a key role on the impact of what they can have in the water system during their lifetimes. Because of this, NSF 61 only calls for the selection of certain materials that are known to be more suitable for coming into contact with drinking water. For example, it mandates that the lead content of drinking water systems components. NSF 61 standard, this information allows the user of the NSF 61 standard to determine the contaminants that could emerge in the water traveling through the piping system over time and provide means to protect those who depend on this water for their everyday lives. Then looking specifically at filtration systems, so there's some other NSF standards that was really applied to the filters themselves. 61 is really more about the fixture, and these 42, 53, and 401 are referring to what the actual filter can do. So NSF 42, 53, and 401 are the industry standards for filtration product systems that certify that a product reduces a particular set of contaminants from drinking water. NSF 42 establishes a minimum requirement for the aesthetic effects of drinking water treatment systems, including the reduction of chlorine, taste, and odor. NSF 53 is a standard establishing minimum requirements for health effects of drinking water treatment systems and offers over 50 contaminant reduction claims, such as lead, chromium, volatile organic compounds. And then within NSF 401, we're addressing the ability of a water treatment device to remove up to 15 emerging compounds and incidental contaminants that have been identified in published studies as occurring in drinking water. Contaminants such as prescription drugs, herbicides, pesticides, and chemicals have been detected in drinking water supplies at trace levels and can affect some consumers' perception of drinking water quality. The International Building Code states that where we're provided, bottle filling stations must now be accessible. Water bottle filling stations are becoming a common feature in an effort to reduce disposable bottles. While some of the bottle filling stations are installed independently, the majority of them are typically located in conjunction with drinking fountains. It is important to note that new requirements do not require the bottle filling stations to be installed, but do not require bottle filling stations, but when installed, we want to make sure that they are accessible. Where bottle filling stations are located over a drinking fountain, the accessible element must be located so that it meets the required reach ranges for persons using a wheelchair. When there are bottle filling stations over both a high and a low drinking fountain, the one over the drinking fountain for the standard person does not have to be accessible. You must always check, again, hammering this home, check with our local provincial building codes or national building codes, because there are some different little nuances from accessibility. Some facilities believe they don't need to filter water in their bottle fillers and water coolers because they think the water supply is excellent. And indeed, we would all love to believe that the municipal supplied water coming out of our taps has been thoroughly treated to remove microorganisms, heavy metals, nitrates, organic chemicals, and other contaminants. Unfortunately, this is not often the case, and municipal water quality suffers due to factors such as aging infrastructure, poor water sources, budget shortfalls, which can put citizens at risk for negative health effects. Although, jumped ahead there, sorry. Apologize, I accidentally scrolled and I lost my spot.
I think you're just working on the quote there. Although the water quality is well
regulated. Yeah, although the water quality is well regulated in the U.S., there's considerable variation in contaminants levels by location. In 2019, about 6% of public water utilities in the U.S. had health-based violations. Consequently, consumers who are concerned about the quality of their water supply often purchase bottled waters or various water filtration devices to remove any remaining impurities. Microorganisms, including viruses, bacteria, and parasites, can cause infection and intestinal illness. While heavy metals in the water supply, such as lead, arsenic, and copper, put people at risk for chronic liver and kidney and intestinal damage, as well as cancer. High levels of nitrate in the groundwater originating from fertilizers or human waste or animal waste reduces the body's ability to carry oxygen within the bloodstream. The list of organic chemicals, which come from agriculture, industry, and household products is long. When consumed in high levels, can cause lots of damage to our organs. Lead. As noted earlier, the toxic heavy metals like lead produce grave health threats to our health. But has an oversized effect on children, especially linked to developmental issues. Shockingly, over 22 million people consume water that flows through the lead pipes. Moreover, numerous U.S. cities have experienced significant lead contamination in their drinking water in recent years. The EPA is issuing final ruling, lead and copper rule improvements that will require drinking water systems nationwide to reduce the replacement of drinking water systems to reduce lead over the next 10 years. The EPA is investing $2.6 billion into drinking water upgrades and lead removal. We see this, within the last several years within Canada. The Health Canada put forth the recommendations for allowable lead content. Each province then adopted that into their standards and mandated that each school board and was testing and measuring, sampling the lead content in each potable water source within the facility. So every single potential water source within a school, the boards were sampling, setting off, getting the test results, and having to then do something about it. So whether that be flushing, whether that be adding point of use filtration, repiping, all kinds of different options were available, but this is all within our guidelines as well, both from Health Canada then down to the provincial codes. PFA chemicals are a group of widely used long-lasting chemicals, aka forever chemicals, that break down very slowly over time and are found in our water, our air, our fish, soil, at locations across the nation and globe. Scientific research shows that exposure to certain PFA chemicals may be linked to harmful health issues. Recognizing this danger, the EPA recently launched the PFA strategic roadmap to address these harms. It is the first ever national standard to address these forever chemicals in drinking water, which will protect 100 million Americans from PFAS exposures, safeguarding the public health and advancing our environmental justice. So in Canada, with Health Canada, I think they published their recommendations for allowable PFA content. It was September or August of 2024. Now each province is kind of digesting that and how they are going to treat this, but you will see this same type of roadmap implemented and treatment course re-implemented over the next several years coming from the provinces. So removing the PFA chemicals is something that's going to be very, very much important from a design perspective. Intervention regulations such as these are vital and go a long way toward lead infrastructure and less toxic water supply. But in the here and now, point of use water filtration is our best way to ensure that we're protected. Point of use treatment occurs just before the tap or faucet or dispensing outlet, while point of entry treatment would be, treating as the water is entering the building supply. So kind of a point of use versus point of entry. Point of entry may be great to help, reduce some of the city infrastructure issues, but we also have old building infrastructures too that we have, we may have old piping that has lead solder content between their connections. As water sits idle in those, leaches into our water stream, causing that water to be contaminated with higher lead content that we want. So really the best way to ensure that we are providing clean drinking water is to make sure that we have a point of use filtration at each dispensing point. So investing in a high quality water filter is crucial for safeguarding human health. They enhance the taste and reduce lead, microplastics, cysts, Class 1 particulates, chlorine, odors. Water filters also reduce PFOA, PFOs, and the most common chemicals in the PFAS group. Filters should be engineered to comply with NSF 42, 53, and 401. And one quick note here, if the facility is using reclaimed water for any other system, they cannot be used with bottle fillers and water coolers. Reclaimed water can only be used for something like flushing toilets or urinal valve. You don't want to ever, reclaimed water can never be for human consumption. Even the filters are not going to necessarily be able to get those down to a safe point. Some state regulations, like in Michigan, they were probably the most prominent in the lead content, unsafe water thing, talking about older infrastructure and whatnot. When Michigan, as you guys remember, from several years ago, was quite a big thing in the news. But they've now put regulations to make sure that everything is filtered moving forward. Every school has to be filtered. There are different types of fixtures available. We have ligature resistant models So certainly anything that could have a potential tie-off point from self-harm in a mental health facility, we want to make sure it's ligature resistant. Vandal resistance is a very important thing in a very high traffic, hard area using. Maybe we want to move away from a push bar to a metal push button. And then outdoor rated products are another thing to consider in your design. Bottle fillers are going everywhere. There's soccer fields, parks, running trails. People have access to water wherever they are using this water in their life here. So as you've learned here, commercial bottle fillers and water coolers are a smart approach to healthy hydration to provide sustainable supply of water to students, employees, guests, in commercial buildings. More and more buildings are incorporating bottle fillers along with water coolers because they dispense water faster and allow occupants to reuse their own water bottles. We want to make sure that we are providing clean, filtered, chilled water to our users. And that's the end of the CEU. Thank you very much, Zach. We brought a little longer than I hoped here, but if you want to hop on here,
No worries. That was
stop my
that was
share.
great. It's always interesting to see, like, you know, we've done entire water quality presentations, you know, talking about, you know, the various organisms and everything that needs to be filtered out. And it's always wild to, you know, see how prevalent that's become even in, you know, a drinking fountain bottle filling space, right? You know, things that you didn't necessarily think of in the past that now are becoming far more critical. You know, I recognize, like we mentioned, we ran a little bit long there, but we still got a few minutes before the top of the hour. So hopefully people are able to stick around with us just to show how you can find some of the products that we were discussing today. But before I dive into that, of course, a reminder, we will be sending over the attendance list over to Rob and his team at Sloan to get the CEU accreditations out to you guys, as well as following our typical ATS process where on Friday you should be receiving your certificate of completion, so that if you are self-reporting for your CPD hours or anything like that, again, we run a regular cadence of webinars, and you can view them right from the ATS Spec homepage. If you go to the Learning Hub, the webinar recordings, you'll be able to view any of the previous sessions that we had done, you know, from sizing water heaters and pumps to understanding leak detection and how that integrates with your VAS systems. You know, lots of a wide range of topics. Again, if this is your first time joining ATS University, we always try to show you how you can find the products that we discuss during the session. ATS Spec is a product selection software that helps you actually configure your product selection, not just get the generic model, not just get a out-of-date written spec from any of the other, you know, specification language focused companies. It's more about helping you find the right product for your application and then getting that information in a variety of ways. It's sponsored by various manufacturers, so it's free for the architects, interior designers, engineers, and design build contractors. Basically, you're going to start with creating a folder with different levels and degrees of detail in these folders. You can go from as basic as a quick spec, which is, you know, pop in your title, call it drinking fountain, and start making your selections. You do that, you get to their category page, and you'd see your drinking fountain category here, pop right into there. I'm going to pop back to the dashboard here using our navigation toolbar on the left, and then go back to the quick action tab. We asked a question in there about updating your masters, and it was interesting to see that, you know, about half of the audience that responded to the poll had, you know, updated recently their masters. So we could call this drinking fountain and bottle filler master. If we haven't added bottle fillers yet to our master, add your location, and this is going to give you the appropriate barrier-free code for your product. So if we're doing Ontario, we want a OBC compliant selection, we would do so, and it will apply where you select British Columbia, Alberta, you know, California, Texas. We have the Texas accessibility standards. Wow.
It's a tongue
Got on my
twister.
tongue there. Select your application. This is going to recommend products based on our application. And then, of course, we've got our versions of masters, which I'll show you how you can use in a little bit better format here. So if you wanted to update your works, your offices, drinking fountain, bottle filler master, we'd go back through the same selection. We can go to our drinking fountain category here. The reason I want to show you is how easy it is to update and how easy it is to, find a specific product that you might be looking for. Say we need a Sloan, that Sloan drop spot that we're reviewing today. We go with our bi-level cooler. You can see we can configure this here. Let's go with a basic galvanized cabinet, powder coated. We'll do the filter. And then we'll want the drop spot. Let's get a 10 pack, standard pack. So you can see the difference of ATS is that we're actually updating our model name and number every time we make a selection. So now when your EITs or whoever comes in to build the next product, you are getting an appropriate equivalent. We also have the ability to include alternates. So if you are doing, your master, you want 3 names and numbers on your master so that, you're getting competition. We could add Murdoch as a cross-reference. We could add any of the other brands that you may have already on your firm's master. You can see we also support the rest of the fixture chain is what we call it. So if you need your stop valves, your trap, your carrier that goes with a drinking fountain, we go through, make those selections. Now, the benefit of doing this is once you have your master selected, building that quick spec or that individual project becomes even faster. So we'll bob back over to our project tab here. I've built a sample project for the presentation. You can see we've got no product in there for now. This is what we call our product page. And we can go to our add drawing button. We could either hit the create new drawing, and this is going to take us back to that tile category page. And you could either search or scroll through all the different categories. We are adding more and more manufacturers. It seems like every month. We just got 2 new manufacturers over the last, I think, 30, 60 days that we're going to be adding to the system. So we're adding more and more categories, more and more product type. And these could be stored in your masters here. So this first tab would be your firm's masters. So, the Zach and Rob engineering team's master would show up here. Then you have ATS templates, which is going to be our recommendations by application. Of course, you can filter by project type. So if we want, we're building a office here. If I wanted to view the Class A office template, I could go on down, scroll through. Let's say I need, let's do a barrier-free toilet. We'll do a barrier-free urinal. Well, we did the fancy one, so let's do the fancy one. We'll grab a barrier-free lav. And then in the hallway outside, we need a bi-level drinking fountain. So I could drag and drop all of these products into my project. In a matter of seconds, I've got approved, accurate selections that meet barrier-free code and also are available to edit if you need to change a flow rate or anything like that. You can do the same thing for your master. So if we go to that drinking fountain and bottle filler master that we just talked about, where we've added 3 names and numbers, we've approved this with our admin team. And now as an EIT or as a designer, I'm coming in to make a selection. I'm confident knowing that this is the product that Rob and Zach approved for all of our engineering projects. And we can just drag and drop. You can reorder, resequence if we want to propose a couple of options here. We've got the one from the ATS master. We've got the one from our own internal master. And then we can download these by checking the box. We can download the entire room, and we can generate our spec documents here, where again, you can get a submittal. You can get a schedule in Excel. You can get long spec, short spec, or a CSI 3-part spec all in Word. You can get the manufacturer spec and even the Revit. So if you're trying to present these to your owner group, you may want the product brochure. Here's 2 options for a drinking fountain bottle filler configuration. If you need to put this onto your drawings, you can get it in the Excel format. If you put it into your own internal written spec, maybe you follow the CSI master spec format, 3-part spec, installation, product, execution. And it will download all these different formats. You can walk through, navigate how you want to deliver the product to the market. And then you're on to the next project. So in a matter of minutes, you're working with an approved product selection. I'll download that 3-part spec while these are going, because I recognize we're just about over time here. And I do want to show you one before I end. Don't mind my download tab. It's hideous, I know. There's a pretty standard 3-part spec, drinking fountain, bi-level drinking fountain selection. And of course, you got everything else. If you had added 3 names and numbers to this, this would come with your approved alternates. So you don't need to go to multiple different websites, multiple different manufacturer sites. You've got all of that all in one spot. Let's pop open this product brochure as well, because I think if you're presenting options to your design team, it's helpful to go through, product brochure. We can put multiple products on one page. You can have these giant images. You can have smaller images. And then, of course, our submittal format, which is great if you're looking to review the exact options you've selected. Because, again, that's the difference that comes with the ATS side, is you're getting the configured model name and number. You're not getting the base model. You're not getting a unselected checkbox. It's showing you what options were available, showing you the configured model name and number, and really helping you get exactly what you specified for your project. So that's the very quick version of an intro to ATS. I appreciate those that stuck around with us. If you have questions on, the SpecTool, if you have questions on any of the products that we talked about, whether it be, drinking fountains, if you need help adding and selecting the bottle fillers to add to your masters, of course, feel free to reach out to us. My team's available to assist in helping you set up your masters if you need, helping you do a takeoff on your next project. And if you have detailed questions on the bottle filler category, we'll tag in our partners over at Dobbins. We'll have Rob jump on a call with us and answer any of the questions that you may have regarding bottle fillers and barrier free and all the various options. And heck, you're a filtration now expert, Robbie.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for joining us. We'll have another ATS University shortly, and enjoy the rest of your day. I did see a couple, looks like questions might be coming in here. Do you need the AIA number, Rob?
There is, I may need that on the attendee list, Zach. Yeah.
Okay, we'll send you the email list. We'll have everyone,
Okay.
Rob will reach out to all attendees and ask if there's an AIA number, just so we don't miss it at the end.
Yeah.
But thank you, Chris. We'll be sure to reach out so that we can register and report accordingly. All right. Have a great rest of the day, y'all. Bye for now.